Hello everyone, I'm Ryson Sinek, and this is my first review of the year, so that means we need something with fireworks. Hey, that'll work great. Has explosion right there in the title. Let's look at the game. Explodemon is a platformer developed and produced by Curve Studios, an indie company out of London. It's mostly an action platformer, requiring quick reflexes and good button time. But it also has some clever puzzle aspects that happen often enough to make you stop and think, but are quick enough to keep them from getting in the way. So let's talk story and see what we have for a plot. A major invasion comes to the city planet of Nibea by the force known as the Vortex. The planet's guardians are either unreachable or already defeated. The defenses are in ruin. The leaders are not very good wartime leaders. People don't even really have a concept of being taken over. I'm gonna guess this invasion wasn't very difficult. The leaders are prepared to surrender when a lone scientist, Dr. Nitrous, brings up that there is one remaining guardian on their planet. The leaders call him mad and the scientist gives up. Though it would make for a strange game if your character spent the entire time frozen while the planet is invaded around him. Although... main character spends game frozen. Anyway, back to the story. A stray missile strikes the building that is holding Explodemon, awakening our hero. Well, Explodemon isn't really a bad guy, he's just collateral damage man. So recently awoken and aware of his surroundings enough to know that the planet is being invaded, and that defending this planet is kind of his job, Explodemon goes off to become the hero. He has a few things getting in his way, like the fact that his powers explode, or that he doesn't have perfect control over it, or his speech impediment that makes him talk like he's been run through an old translation program 8 too many times. I love the way he talks. When you're first reading Explodemon's lines, it's baffling, but as you go on, you kind of get an ear for it. You know, like Shakespeare. It's still English, you just have to get a feel for it. Let's move on to gameplay. Gameplay is an interesting platformer, with the occasional puzzle or combat segment. Explodemon can run, jump, and of course, explode. He explodes constantly. It's how he jumps higher, runs faster, and of course, attacks enemies. Every time he explodes, it empties a meter, which charges automatically. Once it's full, he can explode again. Also, if you wait an amount of time with a full meter, a countdown starts. When the countdown hits 0, he will automatically explode. Even though this may seem like a strange feature, it actually makes a lot of sense, as it makes the puzzles a lot more tense because you have to solve them before he explodes out of your control. Also, it lends to his character traits, as Explodemon is very unstable. The explosion mechanic works well, as they are usually responsive, with the exception of the dash. The explosion dash was, for me, one of the most used abilities, and it seemed to be a major factor when designing levels. However, it wasn't always clear when you would or would not dash. A little more obvious visual indication would have helped things a lot and made it so things were a little less confusing. There were other problems such as how health works and level design. The health bar is that huge column to the left of the screen. It is empty at the start of the level, and you fill it by destroying enemies and collecting these power-up things. It goes down as you take damage from enemies or environmental hazards. Explodemon is not damaged by his own explosions, which is good because that would make for a very different and much harder game. Actually, dying early on is really hard, as enemies don't do enough damage, or you can recover just enough health to hold on and keep going. Thing is, I don't know how to fix this problem of not having a challenge early on, so it might have been for the best. There's also the other issue of level design. While the puzzles work really well and the large enemy encounters are very enjoyable, there's a bit of a problem going from one to the other. This is not a problem in the first world, which flows very nicely, but the later two feel bogged down by something. It's difficult to say why they feel so bogged down. I've been trying to figure out, but I just keep coming back to something's off. Now for visuals. Visually, this game is colorful and bright, and I love the character design. The way they move in the 3D rendered environments looks good, and their conversation portraits look nice. Though I kind of wish that the unnamed help desk woman had more expression, but I get that she's supposed to be just someone doing their job. Explodemon's portrait is very expressive, conveying his intensity, or thoughtfulness, or determination, or whatever this means. well, at least it's expressive. The enemy design is varied enough that you can tell them apart, though it tends to get into the only difference between these two enemies is this one is purple and has more health territory. As for the music and sound, I found them pleasant and fitting for the game. They didn't really stick out, though I do appreciate the fact that explosions are not deafeningly loud. Now we have our dandy, fright, prank, and diplomatical. What? For the good, I say it's the character. This game is charming. Even if I got frustrated with the level I was playing, I wanted to see Explodemon overcome this challenge. The designs, expression, writing, and movement all come together to create an enjoyable protagonist that I want to see succeed, even if other characters don't like him all that much. The bad is the later level design. There is a major difficulty spike, and it doesn't feel like a natural progression of the game. The game very suddenly becomes you fighting with the controls, and trying desperately not to fall into the instant death acid. Said instant death acid was not in the rest of the game, and is not colored different enough to always tell that it's there. The strange is that difficulty spike, and I say it's strange because it feels like there should be a part to make the difficulty seem more like a natural progression. But that part isn't there. World 2 should be a difficulty bridge between Worlds 1 and 3, but it really isn't. You beat World 1, and then World 2 is a little harder, which works and makes sense. And then you get to World 3. It happens so often that you realize the game was not designed around you dying, as the death screen and getting back into the game are a few seconds too long for the amount of times you are likely to die. The bland is the boss fight. You fight Explodemon 6 times. And yeah, after the first fight he has a new power, so the second time feels like progression, but after that he gains tactical support? I understand fighting the same boss multiple times, but 6 is 3 more than most people are willing to allow. And really, 3 would have worked better, as half of those fights just felt pointless. To sum up, I liked Explodemon, but I didn't love it. It was enjoyable at times, like every time Explodemon talked, but if that sort of Joker character isn't something you appreciate, you'd have difficulty enjoying this game. Yes, the platforming is cool and interesting, but the difficulty spike and irritation make it really hard to recommend. Explodemon is available on Desura, Gamersgate, and Steam for $8.99. Till next time, I'm Ryson Sinek, and here's to a new year. Now I need to go help my assistant. How did you do that?